And welcome to lesson number 11 of your online English language class. I'm your teacher, Ms. Rabia Javed. In today's lesson, we'll be doing another comprehension passage from Unit 2, main theme, horses. The text is titled The Winter's Journey. In today's lesson, we will be learning from Oxford Progressive English, page number 42 till page 48. We're going to read a non-fiction comprehension text. We're going to understand the meaning of and interpret the text. We're going to identify and understand meanings of words and hand expressions. We're going to come across and learn some Russian vocabulary. We're going to extend our range of prepositions. We're going to extend our knowledge of idioms and metaphors, and we're going to express literal and metaphorical meanings. First thing first, Russian vocabulary. Our today's text requires us to come across and understand these words. As you can see on the left side, is your Russian vocabulary, and the same are now written in English language. Okay, this word is tolke. This word is a samovar. This word is a gornitsa. This is lampada. This is shubas. This is держать. Last word is volkai. Are you familiar with any of these words? Do you know them? It's okay if you don't. The first word is tolke. Tolke is a singular noun. It is a traditional Russian sled which is used to pull across the ice and snow by 3 horses. A samovar is, again, a singular noun. It is a brass or silver container with inbuilt stove for heating water. The stove is down on the bottom and it tends to heat the water. Gornitsa is again a singular noun. It means a guest room, a room maybe to make the guests stay or sit. Okay, in either case, a waiting room or a guest room. A lampada. Now, this is an important word. A lampada is a light that works by using electricity or by burning oil or gas, and it is usually hung in front of an icon. Later on, I will explain what an icon is, okay? Just have a look at what a lampada looks like. It is basically a lamp which is lit, okay? Shubas. Shubas is the plural form. A shuba is a singular. Okay, it is a traditional Russian fur coat or cloak. Держать. It is an imperative verb. Imperatives are exclamatory verbs. Okay, hold on. It means hold on. Volkai. Volkai is the plural noun. It is Russian wolves. I'm sorry, I've misspelled it. Russian wolves of Volkai. I shows that it is plural, wolves. Now, a little while ago, we talked about lampada. Here is a lampada hanging in front of an icon. An icon is basically a fresco, picture of the Christian divine figures, which is painted or hung in houses or at churches, and this lampada is hung in front of it. Okay. Russia, before we move forward, Russia is a very, very cold country, and also earlier on in earlier times, Russia followed the Orthodox Church. Okay, but with time they have turned into communists and atheists as well. But this from the time the story is from the time period when the Russians followed the Orthodox Church, and such lampadas and such icons were not only painted and hung in the church, but also at people's houses as well. Okay. The following extract comes from The House on the Dvina. It is written by Eugene Fraser, who had a Russian mother and a Scottish father. In the following text, she tells the story of a harsh and difficult journey made by her great-grandmother and grandmother Yenya at the end of the 19th century. They traveled across Russia in winter by troika, a sled pulled across the ice and snow by three horses, and this troika was guided by their driver, Stephen, or Stephen, however you may call it. What do you see in the picture? You're right, it's a Russian wolf. And what is it doing? Very nice. It is licking its teeth or its lips, probably because it has enjoyed a great feast, or it has found something it can feast on. What do you think the story will be about? Not only their journey, but why the picture of a wolf? Good job. Probably because they might come across a wolf. Do you think they're going to help them? Or do you think they're going to face some sort of a danger? Let's see. I'm going to take a start. I'd like you to read along with me. The Russian is born to snow and frost. That is, all Russians, they know that they are born to harsh climates, of harsh cold climate. Okay. The Russian is born to snow and frost. It is part of his being, especially in the north. But even to him, there is a limit of endurance. That is, there is a limit. Even though they are born in the cold climate, there is a limit of how much they can bear it. One day, the Troika set off in brilliant sunshine for a station a long way off. Station over here means a post, okay, where people can travel, stop for a while, one point to another, okay? One day, the Troika set off in brilliant sunshine for a station a long way off. As they traveled, the temperature began to drop until it fell to such a level that a crow frozen in mid-flight dropped like a stone from the sky. I'm sorry, I'm going to pause over here. Um, as I read, I want you to keep in mind not only how the writer is making descriptions, but also how the writer is creating images of the cold setting. Okay, notice how the writer describes the cold, freezing setting. Okay, and notice his choice of words. He's not repeating cold, cold, cold over and over again. He's making use of different phrases to show the idea, okay? Creating different images in your mind, okay? Now, I'll read it again from as, and then I want you to continue noticing it, okay? And wherever needed, I'll give you an explanation. As they traveled, the temperature began to drop until it fell to such a level that a crow, frozen in mid-flight, dropped like a stone from the sky. That kind of frost was rare even in our parts. Everything became very still. The two hooded figures in front barely moved. No one spoke. It was difficult to breathe. Nostrils and eyelids kept sticking, and breath turned to ice on the shawls pulled over their face. The two women clung to each other for warmth. A thick frost, like a shroud, came down, enveloping them all and obscuring the signposts. Only Stephen's intuition kept them on the road. Now, over here, there are a few words that need explanation. The word shroud. A shroud is a, a shroud is a piece of cloth or enveloping garment in which a dead person is wrapped for burial. We call it a kafan in Urdu. Okay. Enveloping means like an envelope. Like an envelope, covers everything from all sides. Similarly, and just like an envelope, a shroud covers a dead body from all sides. Similarly, the frost, the ice, the snow is covering everything from every single side. The writer is trying to show you over here, the writer is trying to show you the intensity of the cold. Okay. Intuition is the sixth sense. Okay. The deep down feeling that you have inside. So only Stephen's intuition kept them on the road. The story is being told from the third person's point of view. Now, the horses, I hope there's nothing that needs explanation, okay, because everything is self-explanatory. The writer is simply giving you phrases and sentences telling you the extremity of the weather. Now, this is what over here is what the humans are feeling. Next, we're going to see how the horses are going to suffer. The horses were also suffering, snorting and throwing their heads. They were fighting for breath. Stephen was forced to climb down and clear their nostrils of ice. That is, he had to come off the sled over and over again and clean the horses' nostrils because they got filled with ice. They were having difficulty breathing. The intense cold can dull the mind, and just as they were reaching the dangerous stage when a somnolent indifference to their fate was setting in, the dark mass of the station came out of the mist. Just when they were thinking that they were feeling sleepy because of the cold and because of they were getting tired because of the harsh weather, what did they see? They saw the dark mass, this dark silhouette of the station come out of the mist. They could see you know, an outline of the dark station because it was dark in color. It was impossible to thaw out the frozen food into a solid mass quickly. That is, once they reached there, whoever was in the station post, it was for them it was difficult to thaw food or thaw meat. That is, they couldn't quickly prepare anything, but the woman in the post house brought a big earthenware pot of baked buckwheat and warm milk out of the stove because she couldn't, because due to the harsh weather, it was difficult to thaw meat or any other food, but she wanted to show her hospitality. What did she do? She brought a big pot of baked buckwheat, something like a porridge, and warm milk out of the stove. She placed a boiling samovar and a newly baked loaf of black bread on the table. Black bread is a special kind of bread which is served in Russia, and a samovar, as I told you, is basically a container which keeps hot boiling water. Now, the post house boasted a gornitsa. The post house boasted a gornitsa, that is, the signpost outside displayed that this place, this station, was not just any station, it was a gornitsa. That is, it had a bedroom sitting room, reserved only for special guests and rarely used by the family. It was clean and humbly furnished. There was an icon hanging in a corner and a lampada, the small perpetual light in front of it. On the painted floor was a handmade rug, but pride of place was given to a large bed piled high with feather mattresses and a pyramid of pillows. Exhausted by their ordeal, Yenya and her mother dragged off their heavy shubas and felt boots, and scrambling up the small steps beside the bed, fell into the depth of warm softness and sweet oblivion. Now, in this paragraph, the Gornitsa, or the guest house, guest room, is being described. Okay? That is, it was humbly furnished. It was not lavishly, nothing was lavish, but there was an icon hanging in one corner and a perpetual lampada light in front of it. There was um, the floor was painted, a handmade rug was on the bottom, and then the the eye-catching bit in the whole room was the bed full of mattresses and pillows. Why do you think it caught their attention? Obviously, because they are exhausted by their ordeal, because they are exhausted by their journey. That is why the bed was the center of attention for the ladies. Now, what did they do? Both Yenya, the writer's grandmother, and the great grandmother, that is Yenya, and her mother, they took off their cloaks and they took off their felt boots and they scrambled up into the bed and they fell into the warm softness and sweet oblivion. Sweet oblivion over here means sleep. Oblivion means basically to lose consciousness of everything around you. Okay? They fell into deep slumber because they had now had, after the long cold journey, they had had a warm meal and now they were in warm bed and then they were soon sleep overtook them. Next, during the early hours of the morning, a wild blizzard followed the frost. It was impossible to go on. For 3 days, that is, they could not continue their journey. A wild blizzard, because of the wild blizzard. For 3 days, tormented by anxiety, they remained stranded in the post house. But on the fourth day, the weather cleared. The troika went off again, the horses struggling through deep snowdrifts on the next post house. The weather continued to improve. There were clear nights and the frost was bearable. One evening, the troika set off for a village that was nearby and boasted better conditions than more stations. It was a peaceful, starry night. The fresh, sturdy horses ran cheerfully along the moonlit path, when suddenly, for no apparent reason, they bolted at great speed. Why do you think they suddenly bolted when they were? Okay, before we come over here, let's explain what has been going on in paragraph 4. Now, what has happened is that after they have fallen asleep, they have early next day, they saw that a wild blizzard is a snowstorm, came along with, followed by frost. So it made their journey impossible for 3 days because they could not move. They were anxious. They were anxious because they wanted to move on. On the fourth day, the weather clears and they move off. Although the horses they struggled, yet they reached the next post house. And then, with time, the weather continued to improve. That is, the weather was not harsh, but it continued to clear. The nights were clear. The frost was bearable. That is, the cold was not as bitter as it was before. Now, one evening, the troika set off for a village that was nearby, and they came across another village which had a station, a guest house, which had better conditions, even better than the one mentioned earlier in paragraph 3. Okay, now after it was a peaceful starry night. That is, there was no blizzard, there was no storm, there was no more snow. So it not only freshened up the humans, the travelers, but also made the horses fresh and sturdy. So which made them run cheerfully along the moonlit path. Okay, that it shows that after spending the day, because the night was peaceful and starry, They continued their journey at night. But then what happened? Suddenly, for no apparent reason, suddenly, although there didn't seem to be a reason, the they who? The horses, bolted, moved, or ran at great speed. Okay? The yikes! Volky! Hold on! There are wolves! Hold on. The yikes! Volky! There are wolves. Okay? The yikes! Volky! Hold on! There are wolves! Stephen called out. I am suddenly all Russian. The yikes! Volky! Hold on! There are wolves! Stephen called out. The horses had sensed before the passengers that there were wolves nearby. None were seen at first, but as they peered into the darkness, they saw the small green lights of eyes weaving through the trees and moving in the same direction as the sled. Yenya's mother, who had a superstitious fear of wolves and firmly believed they were possessed by some evil power, crossed herself. The power of the cross protect us, she said, using the prayer that wards off all evil. The horses, maddened by fear, flew out of control and raced on. The troika bumped and swayed over the frozen ruts. At any moment it could turn over and they would be thrown out and perhaps killed. There was the added fear that the wolves would run to where the road and the wood met and cut them off from the village. Then, in the dip of the road, there came into view the row of orange lights from the cottages. There the villagers had heard the urgent ringing of the bells on the troika. The loud chorus of dogs, barking and howling, shattered the stillness of the night. The troika rushed through the open gates of the station and stopped inside the safety of its walls. The horses stood trembling in clouds of steam, foam dripping from their mouths. Can you see how beautifully the writer has made use of language to create fear in this portion of in this last paragraph? Okay, now let's see how the horses sensed before the passengers. You must have noticed how any calamity is felt by animals first, beforehand, the humans. Okay, so the horses sensed that the wolves were near. So, although people, the humans, that is Yenya and her mother, and even Stephen could not see them, but when they peered, when they looked into the darkness, they saw small green lights of eyes, okay, weaving through the trees, moving through the trees, and moving in the same direction as the sled, that is, moving right next to them. Yenya's mother is superstitious and she believes that wolves are full of some sort of evil power. So what did she do? She crossed herself. That is a Christian way of protecting. I will explain this in the next few slides, okay? Don't worry. You must have seen it in certain movies how if a character is from a Christian origin, they make a cross all over their body from using their forefingers and the index finger and the ring finger to touch their forehead, their chest, their right shoulder and the left shoulder. It has a religious significance. I will explain it later on, okay? And then she, along with the cross, making the cross over her body, she prayed this little prayer, which is used to ward off evil. Now, here is how the horses are feeling fear. They're maddened by fear and they flew out of control and they're racing on top speed. The troika bumped. Now, what is happening? They're not only telling what's happening to the horses, but also what the vehicle is going through. Bumped, swayed over frozen ruts, that is, frozen pebbles or stones. Any moment it could turn over. When any vehicle is moving at top speed in unfavorable conditions, there are chances that it can turn over and everyone can be thrown out and even killed. There was the added fear that wolves would run to where the road would meet and cut them off from the village. That is, the wolves will be able to cut them off, stop them from entering the village. Suddenly, the road dips. There's a dip in the road, and after the dip, what do they see? They see the row of orange lights, which come from where? From the cottages. Cottages are going to be where? In the villages. So you can feel a sense of um, relief over here. There, the villagers had heard the urgent ringing of the bells. The villagers, obviously, a troika, as you can see earlier on in the picture of the troika, it always has bells on it. Why? So that when it is moving at top speed, the bells are going to ring, and those jingling bells are going to prove to be the sign that someone is in trouble. Okay, so the villagers had heard the urgent ringing of the bells on the troika, and what did the people in the village do? They came out with their dogs, and a loud chorus of dogs barking and howling shattered the stillness of the night, because once the villagers and the dogs, they could see the troika, the dogs started barking. And what did it do? It sort of stopped the wolves in their tracks, or stopped them from moving forward. The troika rushed through the open gates. The villagers had thrown open the gates around the village. The village, because the villagers knew that they were living in such conditions where the forests were full of wolves in earlier times. Almost all the cities or the villages, they had a wall, a defense wall around them, and they would have a main gate that through which people could enter and leave. Okay, so what did the people, the villagers do? They rushed to, threw open the gates, and the troika rushed through the open gates of the station and stopped inside the safety of its wall. The horses stood. इधर तक, oh, I'm so sorry to speak in Urdu. Till here, everything is the climax. From here onward, it is the anticlimax. The troika rushed through the open gates of the station and stopped inside the safety of its walls. You can feel your muscles relax. A sense of relief overcomes you when you read this part. The horses stood trembling in clouds of steam, foam dripping from their mouth. That is, it shows the fear the horses had to face. Not only does it show that the horses were trembling, but it also shows the fear that was there on the faces of the villagers and probably on the passengers as well. Okay. Important expressions. To cross oneself. In paragraph 5, Yanya's mother crossed herself and prayed for the power of the cross to protect them. At this time, that is the time when this story was written, almost all Russians belong to the Russian Orthodox Church. One of the central beliefs of Christianity is that Jesus Christ was crucified and died on the cross to make amends for the sins of mankind. I'm not going to go into the details. These are certain things that you are already familiar with. To cross oneself is to touch one's forehead, then the chest, then the left and right shoulders to symbolize the 4 points of the cross. The Russian Orthodox churches are famous for their icons, the beautifully and traditionally painted representations of holy figures with which they are decorated. Russian homes had their own icons, frequently lit by a light which was kept burning continually. Okay, the light would not be put out. The next word is the station. In modern English, a station almost always means a railway station, but in the days of traveling by horse and carriage or by troika or sled, a station was a post station, a stopping place where the horses could be fed, watered and rested. We had such stations even over here in Pakistan. There was a famous emperor, Bahadur Shah Zafar. He was not a Mughal. There's another dynasty. Bahadur Shah Zafar, who is responsible for the GT road that we have over here, that stretches all the way from Kabul entering in Pakistan, and then all the way till Delhi. Okay, so Bahadur Shah Zafar had also created such stations where the horses could be stopped and fed and watered, and the rider could rest, and then the journey could be continued. So passengers could rest and eat at the post house. Okay. Now, what is station? Oh, this is not necessary because we did not do this text in Unit 1 or earlier on in the unit. Now, the important thing is that you do not confuse these two words, stationary with an A and stationary with an E. These are homophones. Homonyms, homophones, okay? Stationary with an A means to something which has stopped, something which is not moving. And stationary with an E means pens, papers, envelopes, the items used for writing. Now, the easiest way to remember the spelling is these two phrases. Stationary cars, using the letter A, cars, because cars are stationary. They are always, you can stop them. Cars are stationary, standing still. Stationary envelopes, because the letter E from the word envelopes will remind you that stationary envelopes is a kind of stationery. Hence the E in stationery. And because the word cars has an A and cars can be stationary, they can stop moving. Hence, we're going to use this word with such in such a way. And so you will remember the meaning. With an A, it means stopped or not moving. With an E, it means stationary items. Okay? Question and answers. This is something you have to do in your notebooks. So please pay attention. I'm going to give you short answers for each of these. Reading for understanding. What dropped like stone from the sky? This is from paragraph 1. What dropped like stone from the sky? What did this incident show about the temperature? Remember, a crow. Wait. It is the 5th line. A crow frozen in mid-flight dropped like a stone from the sky. Okay? Make sure you only take the idea but not copy the text. Okay? Write every answer in your own words. What did this incident show about the temperature? That the temperature was freezing. It was bitterly cold. So cold that it could kill. Okay. Froze the blood. What effect did the cold have on the two women passengers? The two hooded figures in front barely moved. No one spoke. It was difficult to breathe. Also, the two women clung to each other for warmth. How could the driver find his way when all the signposts were obscured? Only Stephen's intuition kept them on the road. That is, Stephen's sixth sense, Stephen's gut feelings kept them on the road. Why? It shows that he was familiar with the path. He was familiar with the way, the path, the route they had taken. What was the effect of the cold on the horses? Well, passage 2, first paragraph. Oh, sorry, first statement, first 2 sentences. The horses were also suffering, snorting and throwing their heads. They were fighting for breath. Stephen was forced to climb down and clear their nostrils of ice. Why? Because the intense cold can dull the mind, and obviously the horses would feel numb. Why is extreme cold dangerous for both? Sorry, this mind thing won't come over here. The first 3 statements will only be used for question number 4. Why is extreme cold dangerous for both human beings and animals? Because the intense cold can dull the mind, and just as they were reaching the dangerous stage, that is what stage? When a somnolent indifference to their fate was setting in. Remember, I explained even over there that somnolent indifference means that they started feeling drowsy. What happens? Just like in hot weather that we are facing these days, extreme Just like extreme heat makes us feel fainted and makes us lose our brain, similarly, extreme cold can make our brain feel numb and make us feel sleepy. Not exactly sleepy, but make us feel numb. Okay? And just when, remember, even back there when I was reading the text, I explained that just that the people, the passengers, they were about to feel drowsy when they saw the station appear out of the mist. Okay, all you have to do is explain why the temperature is dangerous for human beings and animals. Why did the women find the treatment they received at the post house so welcoming? Because although they did not receive some sort of a lavish hot meal, but whatever hot food the host provided them with, they ate it gladly. And although the room was humbly furnished, yet the warm and soft bed was welcoming for them, because they had just and they were exhausted by the difficult journey they had just took. Okay, and they instantly fell asleep. Why could the troika not continue their journey the following morning? Because of the wild blizzard followed by frost. In what ways was the journey better after the troika set off on the fourth day? Because there were clear nights and the frost was bearable. How did Stephen know that there were wolves around? Also, sorry, for question number 8, there were clear nights and the frost was bearable. Number 2, it was a peaceful, starry night. How did Stephen know that there were wolves around? Because number 1, simply because for no apparent reason, the horses bolted at great speed. Why were the wolves so dangerous? Because I'm just coming, I'm just looking for the exact line. Towards the, all after the half bit of paragraph 5, you have, why were the wolves so dangerous? Because they were, because the horses had sensed them before the passengers, and it was adding it was adding to the fear of the horses, which were rushing, which were racing at top speed. They were out of control, and they could bump. That the troika could bump and sway, and the passengers could be thrown out of the troika and even get killed. What did the villagers do when they heard the bells on the troika? They instantly they opened up the gates and they brought out their dogs, who started barking, so that the wolves would stop in there wherever they are, and they would not enter into the village. How can you tell that the horses as well as the women and Stephen have suffered on the journey? Simply the last line. The horses stood trembling in clouds of steam foam dripping from their mouths. Also, you can you can also, before this, you were going to show how Yenya's mother crossed herself and chanted a prayer that wards off evil. And Stephen is scared because for his life, for the life of his passengers, and for the what you call it, the horses, because the horses are maddened by fear and they are out of control. This is not, and then finally towards the end, the horses stood trembling in clouds of steam, foam dripping from their mouths. How's your Russian? This is something we've already done. This is your next page, page number 45. Okay. I have although done these words with you, but I will do them yet again. How's your Russian? Samovar is a brass or silver container with inbuilt stove for heating water. Gornitza is a guest room. Lampada is the light below the icon, which is lit perpetually, continually. Shubas are cloaks. Derzites means hold on, and Volkai means wolves. You can take this down directly in your book. Now, cold words. Write down as many words and phrases suggesting cold as you can. You can start with snow and frost from the very first sentence of your story. Now, here are a few that I picked for you. Snow, frost, temperature began to drop. A crow frozen in mid-flight dropped like a stone from the sky. The two hooded figures in front barely moved, difficult to breathe. Breath turned to ice on the shores. Two women clung to each other for warmth. Intense cold can dull the mind. Mist, impossible to thaw. The food frozen into a solid mass. There are a few that I missed. In paragraph 4, first line, a wild blizzard. And fifth line of paragraph 4, deep snow drifts. Okay, these are two words that I have missed. Right. Exercise 3, matching the meanings. Match the words 1 to 7 from the text to their meanings. This is how they are given. Tormented, somnolent, ordeal, oblivion, wards off, maddened, urgent. The words that you have to match with are trial, made wild, repels, plagued, is insistent, unconsciousness, and sleepy. The answers to this exercise are: tormented means plagued, something that disturbs you. Somnolent is from, remember, are you familiar with the word insomnia? Insomnia means to unable to sleep. So somn basically means sleep. It's a Latin word. Som, from the word som, you have somnolent, to feel sleepy. Ordeal is a trial, a difficult journey. Oblivion, unconsciousness. Wards off, unconsciousness or sleepiness. Wards off, repels. Maddened, made wild, to make someone feel mad or wild. Urgent, insistent, urgently, instantly. Okay. Next, on page number 46, you can see that we have the exercise of metaphors and similes. For this, I have made another video, which is right underneath this link, this video. So I'll do the metaphor and simile in the other video. For now, I'm going to do on page number 46, words in use, hands. We're going to do certain we're going to see how the word hands can be used in different ways. I'm sorry about this poor quality of the picture. Please read into your books. Measure across your hand with your palm facing you. Measure from the base of your thumb to the edge of your hand. How many centimeters is it? You can use a ruler if you may. How many? My hand is 6.5 inches, almost 7 inches, not centimeters. How many centimeters wide is your class partner's hand? Or we can leave it, probably it's about 8 or 9 centimeters or less. Girls' hands are usually narrower than boys' hands. Traditionally, a man's hand was said to be 4 inches wide, that is from left to right, about 10 centimeters. And these hands are still the traditional measurements of a horse. That is, hand is the measurement that we use to measure the height of the horse. A horse is said to be or to stand, for example, 16 hands high. A horse is not described as 1.6 meters tall or 5 foot 8 inches like humans or buildings are. No other animal is measured in hands. How would you describe a horse that is 1.7 meters tall using the verb stand? We're going to say 17 hands high. Now, because hands are so important, it is not surprising that there are many phrasal verbs and expressions using the word hand. Can you think of some? Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't move it on. Okay. Can you think of some? Good. Hands-on learning. Uh, hand in, handouts. The teacher usually give you handouts, that is prints of things. You must have heard to a bird in hand, another in bush. Okay, to go hand in hand, to hold hands. Okay, these are certain phrases you must have heard. You must be familiar with. Now, how many? Okay, fill in the blanks in the following sentences with the correct prepositions. Don't I have given the answers over here. Very nice. But I will read them as I read. I will give you the answers. Although the answers are over here, I will give you the answers as I read the text. Don't forget to hand in your science homework tomorrow. Hand it over. You know perfectly well you are not allowed catapults in school. Would you hand out these worksheets to the class, please? Put your hand up if you want to answer the question. Please hand back my necklace. I only lent it for the evening. My grandfather wants to hand down the family portraits to his grandchildren. All right. Okay, I'll come back over here because now I'm going to do the speaking and listening bit. We're going to come across certain idiomatic expressions that make use of the word hand in pairs. Okay, what you have to do is write down the following 10 expressions. One of you write down the 10 expressions. Oh, we're not going to do this activity, obviously. So what we're going to do is there are certain expressions with the word hand in them, and then there are meanings. I'd like you to go through these expressions and the meanings, and then we're going to match them. To be caught red-handed, a hand-to-mouth existence, to know something like the back of your hand, to dress in hand-me-downs, to come in handy, to keep one's hand in, to have one's hand in the till, a hands-on exhibition, to change hands, to bite the hand that feeds you. To be useful, to maintain one's experience in a particular area, to be found in the act of doing something illegal or wrong, to wear clothes which previously belonged to someone else, to be absolutely familiar with something, to scrape a subsistence living, to steal from one's employer, to return against someone who has cared for you, to come under new management or ownership, a place where public can touch and feel the exhibits. Now, what I want you to do is match all the expressions with their meanings. Okay? Now, how are you going to do that? I know you're smart, but I can give you a little help. Ta-da! I've got some answers for you. You can take these down and match the meanings and then go through the expression and its meaning so that you understand what is going on. I'm sure you're familiar with some of these now. There is an extension task that I have for you for using the word hands. I'd like you to do it right over here. It's pretty simple. Read the following hand proverbs and discuss their possible meanings and the situations in which they could be used appropriately. A bird in hand is worth two in the bush. Which one do you think fits? The devil finds work for idle hands. Many hands make light work. The hands that rock the cradle rules the world. Full cup, steady hand. Now, here are the explanations. I want you to match them with these. Do you think you need a little help? Here you go. The answers are here. Okay, take your time. You can note them. You can pause the video if you feel like it. Okay. And please, after you've taken down the answers, make sure that you go through not only the proverb, read the proverb and its explanation so that you know what we have just done. They're not very difficult. They're going to come in handy anytime you're going to write something creative. Now, other than although this exercise is not part of our today's lesson, but since we have done one odd man out last week, I'd like to do this activity with you as well. Open up to page number 53. There's an activity of odd man out. Which word in each of the following groups is odd man out? Explain why the word you have selected is the odd man out. The first one has been done for you. Tiny, miniature, gigantic, microscopic. Gigantic is odd man out because it means huge or very big. And the other three words all mean very small. Okay, now you have the next set of words: fearless, intrepid, brave, cowardly, forceful, strong, powerful, weak, vast, dangerous, perilous, hazardous, fantastic, enormous, amazing, spectacular. Answers are in number one, cowardly means not brave. Cowardly is not brave. All others are courageous. That is, fearless, intrepid, and brave all mean courageous. Weak is feeble. All other words, that is, forceful, strong, powerful, are strong. Okay, they mean strong. Vast means huge. All other words mean dangerous. Dangerous, perilous, hazardous. These three words all mean dangerous. Enormous, again, is huge. All other words are related to the concept of being amazing, fantastic, amazing, spectacular. All right. What tasks do you have today for this week? You have the tasks that you have to attempt in your notebooks are your questions of reading for understanding on page number 44 and 45, the cold words that we did on page number 45. I remember I've given you the list of words. Then you have the metaphor and simile task, which I have given in the second video. And also for the idiomatic expressions that you just did on page number 48, I would like you to make 10 sentences using each of the, what do you call it, expression. I'll show it to you, don't worry. See, this task is already given over here. Write at least 10 sentences in which you use the expressions. Make it clear that you fully understand the meaning. To do this, you may want to write more than one sentence for each expression. For example, don't just write, after many years, he bit the hand that fed him. Wrong. Cross, cross. But instead, what you have to do, how could you steal from my purse after all I have done for you? Said the mother to her son. You cruel boy, you have bitten the hand that fed you. This is the correct way. Okay, this is exactly how I want you to attempt your this task. Okay, this task. Okay, now what are the tasks that I want you to do in the textbook? How's your Russian, which is on page 45? Remember the words samovar, dermajites, and shubas. Okay, then words in hand, words in use, the hand words on page number 47. These are your fill in the blanks with the correct prepositions. I have given the answers for these as well. Match the expressions, the hand expressions, idiomatic expressions with their meanings. Again, answers have been given for this exercise. The exercise is on page number 48. With that, we come to the end of our lesson. Thank you. Smart children, stay healthy, stay safe. I love you all so much. Bye.